Hello, and welcome back to another stream on building the forum script that we're building. We're using Next.js and GraphQL, and in the back end, we are using Hasura. So far, we have an index page that has a list of threads. We've got the thread title, author, and the category that it's posted in. We can log in, log out, and we can ask a question. Now, there was one thing that I noticed earlier on when we were building the register page, and that was in fact the email. We didn't have any kind of validation on that, so I'm just going to paste this in, and this was from another project that I was working on today, and it just kind of reminded me that we needed to add this in. So while we've got some validation on sign up to check whether it's an email on the API side, let's do it on the client side as well, and all that will do on the register form is it will show an error if the email pattern doesn't match. So we'll just put that in there, and we should be pretty much good to go on that front. So I'm just going to check out a new branch or switch to a new branch, and we'll call this thread page. So we're going to create our individual thread page now. And I've noticed we haven't put a link in to go back to the index. So why don't we just do that while we're messing around here? We're not going to worry about styling just yet. But let's go ahead and let's just add a link here to go back to the index page. And that might just make it a little easier to know what's going on. So yeah, we'll go home, and then we go back to the home page, and we can see all of our threads. So if I click on one of these threads here, it's going to take me to this page here, and this page obviously doesn't exist. So we're going to use Next.js's get static props, get static paths, and we're going to build this all dynamically, which is cool. So let's dive in. We've probably got a lot of ground to cover now, so I'm just going to kind of go through it and explain as much as I can as I'm going along, just to help me, help anyone following, and anyone who's remotely interested. We're going to create a new folder called thread because that's the format of the URL. Next has a URL-based router, and then inside of here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a few things. So why don't we first of all just export a default function, which will be thread, thread page. We're going to obviously get some things through the props here to the page, but why don't we first just go ahead and return an h1. Have we used an h1 already? Probably not. Let's add a class name, and this time we'll do text to XL, and we'll say this is font semi-bold, and we're using Tailwind here. So this will be the thread title. And then we're going to have to go ahead and display some posts. So I'll probably split this into some kind of component like post list, and we'll spread in the posts here. Whether we call them posts or items or whatever, I'm not too sure what that will be, but we'll just say we'll spread in posts. And then we kind of want a post box or a reply form. Reply to thread. Let's do reply to thread form. We'll just call it reply form. And then we can obviously pass in. We're gonna have to pass in a few things here. I want to kind of make this as abstract as possible, so we can pass down things like on submit, and we'll pass something down when we submit the page. And then we'll do a bunch of other things. Now these red squiggly lines is because we're not returning one element here. We'll need to return that inside a React fragment. Yeah, so we're gonna display the thread title and the thread, the posts and the reply form. If I just save this now and refresh this page, you'll see that we get thread title on the top here, and it's kind of matched the path here. This is a dynamic path for the ID. So let's go ahead and import that all important layout file, and we could actually just replace this in the fragment. Whoops. We could replace this here, wrap all that inside of the layout, and then we're going to get our header so we can kind of navigate around and do things. So yeah, let's dive on in and get the thread title that matches this here. So we're probably going to next need to import GQL and Hasura user client, and we'll import that from the lib folder in Hasura user client, and then we'll instantiate Hasura user client again. That just returns a function, so we can, in the future, we are going to pass it some arguments, but I think for now, let's just go do a export const get static paths, and we'll return, well, this will be an async function, so we'll just return, what have we got to return? We have to return, instead of next, we've got to return a few things. Let's open the documentation. So nextjs.org, and inside of here, we will go to the docs, and we'll go to get static paths. And let's have a look at get static paths now. So get static paths, if a page has a dynamic route, in our case it does, it's the ID of each thread. We need to return the paths and then a fallback. We'll not worry about the fallback just yet. I think that is really, if there is a 404, we kind of can deal with that and then fetch it on the front end. Because we've got such a low revalidate, I'm not even sure if that's necessary. I haven't read too much into that. I guess if the paths haven't been generated, okay. Yeah, we'll cover that. We'll cover that in a sec. So get static props we'll do, and get static, wherever we were at, get static paths we will do, and that needs to return paths. So we'll do return paths, and then we'll make the, what is this? This is threads. So we'll do threads.map, and we'll destructure the ID, and then we'll return params, and that ID will be ID. Is that right? It is. Params ID is ID. Now threads ID, where am I getting this from? Well, I'm already beginning to think that we are going to need to get just all of the threads in general. So get thread IDs. This will be another GraphQL query, and we'll call threads. And we'll just get all of the IDs. And that's all we need there. Then inside of here, I will do const Hasura equals Hasura user client, and then we'll do const threads equals await Hasura dot request, and then we'll pass in that query. So that's looking pretty good. I think fallback is still required. I don't know why it's required. Maybe it's so you do just have to deal with it. Get static paths we've got. Next, we are going to need to export a const get static props, and that will again be an async function. And then we need to do the same. We need to set up this Hasura thing again. We don't need to use the user client in this state because there's no user context anyway. Yeah. There isn't any user context in this client, but we could use the admin client. The problem is it's always going to pass this header. Whereas user client, if there isn't a token, the default permissions is guest. So when we come to restrict content in the future with permissions, it will run the kind of guest role, whereas admin, that admin header will overwrite fetches. So we could end up building pages that are private or hidden or whatever. I don't think it really matters, but let's just stick to the rules for now. We're going to do exactly what we did on the index page here. We are going to get the thread by ID. Obviously, we didn't do that here, but we're going to do this on the index page to rehydrate the page with new content. And then inside of here, we'll just copy this over, and we'll do initial data equals Hasura, and we'll do get thread by ID, and that will return initial data. And then down here, we'll copy this once again, and we'll destructure initial data here, and then we're pretty much good to go there. So we now need to get our thread by ID, and I'm just going to do data.title, and that will bring the title of our thread. So let's write the query for this next. Const get thread by ID is this query here. We'll say query get thread by ID, and then we're going to have to pass in the ID, which is of type UUID. We'll return the ID and the title, and let's just refresh this and see if that is actually working. So we'll go here. Use SWR is not defined. That is correct. It is not defined. Let's go ahead and import that from SWR and refresh. Get threads is not defined. Yes, it's not. It's not. It is. Get thread by ID. Is that correct? Get threads is not defined. Okay, yes, it's not defined. This will be get thread by ID. Now then, before we move on, this is the key, but the key here will need to be it will need to be an array, right? Because when we looked at use SWR before, that's almost the it's the key. It's not the query it's running. It's what it stores. So if we store this, nothing is really going to change here. We need to actually change the values as well. At least I think that's what's going on. So we need to send in first an array, and then we pass the ID, and then that ID. Where's that ID going to come from, Jamie? That ID is going to come from the router. We can do that. So let's do const router equals use router, and then we'll do const ID. We'll destructure that from router.params, and then at the top, let's go ahead and import use router from next router, and then again ID isn't anything here. We need to pass this in to the query. I think no, that ID is going to come into here, and then what we need to do here is that's going to kind of return this array, and then we need to pass this through as the variables. Variables is the second argument here, so we just pass ID, and this this will be query. Will this be query? Yes, this is the query here, which is passed here and here, and then that ID is passed all the way through, and that keeps use SWR happy. Okay, expecting ID of type UUID. Expecting a value for non-null ID. Get thread by ID. Of course. We didn't do anything. We didn't write a query. Right. So inside of Hasura, let's open GraphQL, and we will fetch threads by primary key. Now this is ID. So why don't we just run this query in here, and we'll say ID is ID. We'll return the ID and the title, and then threads by PK is going to be returned to us, and this is actually going to be there. It's going to return data threads by primary key, and then we can access that. So if we head over to localhost now and refresh, I'm hoping this works. No, it doesn't. So get thread by ID. ID is UUID. What are we doing wrong? Let's have a look. Thank you if you have just tuned in. We are building a forum with Next and GraphQL. Pretty much just document the process throughout. Kind of doing this as a fun experiment, revisiting some of my youth when I used to hang out just building forums and hacking on forums, because it's how I learned to code. So I'm just kind of spending some time this October building some of that and sharing it. Hopefully We can all learn something in the process. At least that's what I want to get out of it. So we'll pass in ID and we'll run this query. So it's working. That query is working. So we're doing something wrong in the wiring up of that query, right? So it's expecting a value, non-normal variable of ID. Are we doing the static props in the right place? Hasura, we're instantiating Hasura. Initial data, get thread by ID. Oh, of course. We need to pass in ID, which will come from params, I think. And then we'll do const ID equals params. This, I'm hoping, is the problem. Nope. Router.params is not defined. Router. Use router. Router.params. It's params in this context. And it's query here. That'll be right. Whee! Cool. So home. Then we go through here, click on Hello World. Then we go to this page. It's pulling Hello World. So these pages are being handled for us statically. And yeah, it's creating the page for us. Woo! Awesome. Right. What's next? We now have the title of the thread. So let's go ahead and display the posts. While this thread is, let's just bump the title as well, just to make it look cool, make it bigger. We'll add some colors and sparkles later on and make this thing look like it's actually worth using. But for now, we're just getting the data in. So this is cool. Right then, we've already said we're going to need a post list. So let's dive in and create that now. So let's just, first of all, data threads by pk. That will be, that's how it will get posts. We'll send posts down. So instead of here, we'll just do a query to get post IDs and post message. We'll get created at as well, why not? And we'll get the author's name. Posts, is there any particular order of posts that we need? We'll probably need to order this by created at. So we'll do, or was it order? Did we do order on the index page? Yes, we did. We did order by created at descending because we wanted the last message. However, in our case here, we'll want it to, we'll want to order it ascending on the created at call because we want the oldest message to be at the beginning, right through to the newest at the bottom, and then we're going to have the reply button at the bottom, so it kind of makes sense doing it like that. Yeah, take a breath, Jamie, and think what we are doing. We're querying posts, so that's fine. We're then passing it to this post list component, and we don't have that. So let's go ahead and create that component. And that will be post list, and let's create a component here called post list. We'll do export default function. I've used functions, I know. If there are no threads passed, or there is none in the array, then we'll return null. Otherwise, we will return let's cheat and look at threadless component. Let's just steal this. It's our code. We can steal it. So this isn't going to be posts. This is going to be threads. No, it's going to be posts, not threads. And then we are going to render the post component. We don't have that yet, so let's next create that one. And while we're at it, we'll just cheat again and we'll copy probably all of this, including the relative time, because that would be pretty cool. Let's create post.js in our components folder. I'm going to paste in all of this. Now then, let's destructure message, not title, message created at and author. We'll rename this component. Do we need the link? Probably not. I don't think we need any links and posts for the time being anyway. We'll probably link to some, I don't know, user profile eventually. Date pass, last post. Well, it'll be created at now. We don't need any of this. We don't need any of that. And we should be flying now. We've got the ID. Time ago. We don't need a flex box here, right? We don't need a display. We just need one avatar. How are we going to display this? I mean, the design doesn't really matter at this point. We'll do author.name. I mean, it's always going to have a name, but you never know. Did we update the query? Yes, we did. So we've got author and name. And then we're displaying another little avatar. Now, we don't need that, do we? Do we? Probably not. This span here. We'll still throw in a div for now. In fact, we'll make two divs here. We'll throw this in a span, and we'll just say class name equals text small. And while we're at it, we'll do this on the thread component because it might look a bit nicer. Because we really care about the styling. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? I know, it looks terrible. That's not small. There we go, that's small. Use SWR. We've done that, and then now let's open inside of this div. We'll put message. Now, I've been thinking today we're going to accept Markdown. I was previously considering using bulletin board code, BB code, because it's quite for me it's quite nostalgic. It kind of throws me back to writing BB code. But I think Markdown's more familiar today. And even for those who aren't familiar writing Markdown, because not everyone is Markdown minded or a developer or whatever, there's still quite a lot of tools around Markdown to generate the Markdown. So it looks like, you're interacting with rich text almost, and you've got little buttons to make things bold. So I think we'll do that for now. And then in the bottom here, we'll just return in that div. Yeah, in this div we'll just return time ago. So that's kind of the created at. Now if I update this, am I displaying the author name? Yes, I am. Displaying the message. So if I save this and refresh, hey, there we go. So we've got our first message. This is by me yesterday. And that was the message for this thread. If we go back to the index and click on another thread, you'll see we've got our BB code, but ignore this. We've got the message at least. So this is coming through. In this little avatar, I'm not sure what to do about avatars. I really don't want to go through the hassle of creating a function to handle uploads and adding another service into the mix. So if you've got any suggestions on what we should do for avatars, I have thought of maybe using Gravatar, but not everyone uses Gravatar, and that's another problem. It wouldn't be too hard to add an uploader and get people to do it, but I can just tell I'm going to get really fussy when it comes to, cropping avatars and making sure it looks nice and whatever. So maybe if we just go down the path of when you sign up, when you register for an account, you select an emoji or something, and that is your emoji. That would be quite cool. There's like only one emoji per person. That would be fun. Yeah, so we've got our messages. So if I want to now reply to this thread, what are we going to do? What are we on? We're on 25 minutes. So we've just created the thread page with the title. We then got all of our posts. But I want to post more content in here. How do I do it? Well, let's create that other component we said we needed. Reply form. We'll import reply form. Should we call it post form? I don't know. Post form. We'll call it post form because it's a post. I know we're replying, but that's kind of the implied behavior. I don't know. Naming things is horrible. Again, we'll export a default function of post form. This will be a form. We'll return a div. We could just return a form, but I don't know. Now let's go ahead and we'll import React hook form, and we'll also destructure on submit here. This is gonna let's I'm thinking ahead already, but let's pass in on submit here, and then back inside of, where are we at? Let's just steal this. We'll put this here. This I'm thinking is going to have to go outside of the form, just so we can update the initial. We can mutate the SWR cache. Maybe. Anyway, we'll figure that out. So form on submit. Let's just return a form. Who cares? Let's return a div. I do care. So form, let's make this look like the post. So let's do this here. I don't know why I didn't copy class name equals, but you know. Then we've got a div. Now this has a width, doesn't it? Well, the width of the contents is W8. So we'll paste that avatar in. Eventually what we'll do is we'll display the current avatar of the user to the left of a text area. That makes some sense to me. What else do we need? Let's go back to the ask page. That's probably the page we can copy from. What we're doing. Text area. I'm going to put this inside a div again. Don't ask me why. I just am. And then we're going to put text area here. A post has a message. Yes, it does. We'll change this to reply to thread. And then the required message will be, you must provide a message to reply or something. We can update this. We'll probably, like I've said previously many times, introduce a locale or something, library. So errors.message.message. If there is a message, we'll display the error.message. And then we will have a button outside of this div. We didn't put our text area in a div. Divs everywhere. Did I? Yeah. Double button. We'll just change this to reply for now. Don't think it matters. Right, okay, so we've got a form going. I refresh, is there anything shown? No, that is because we're not displaying anything. On submit is not doing anything. So let's just remove this for now. Sweet. We've got a form. Why is that not? Class name, flex1. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? So that's full width, but you want text area. Why oh why? Why oh why? Meh. I don't want to put the width on the input, but we're going to have to. We're going to have to. Sweet. Right. Background grey 100, just so we can visually see that this is an input. We'll just make it rounded and we'll add some padding because we really care how this looks, don't we? We'll say the rows, we'll say 5. Give it a bit of breathing room. Sweet. So we've got a form now, and we've got a button. That button doesn't look very nice, so because we care about how this looks, let's just add a button grey, and we'll say what's our color going to be? Is it going to be purple? Is this going to be our brand color? Oh, that's nice. Text is going to be white, and we're going to add some padding. We'll make it 3 as well, so boo, it pops. Wow, we've got a lovely button. Let's also make that rounded. Oh, this is looking beautiful. Beautiful. I've never seen such a greater design than this. Amazeballs. Right. Now, post form, we've already made the decision, is going to run on submit, So let's code that on submit, and we'll do handle reply, or handle post. I don't like naming things. Okay, what are we gonna have to do now? We're gonna need a mutation for this. So we've not. Yes, we have done mutations. We did mutations with login and register. Okay, so we've got a comment here. Can we print pictures that are most important depending on React query example? I'm not too sure what you mean. We can show pictures in here. On a React query, you could just query for pictures, and here your typing cooler should be changed depending on the text. Is it possible? Not 100% sure what you mean by cooler. I don't think I've written cooler anywhere. Yeah, let's dive in and just get on with this form, and then maybe so we can see what's going on. So we got on submit, handle post, and let's go ahead now and create this handle post method, I think. So this is going to be a async function, handle post, and it's going to take in a few things, isn't it? It's going to take in well, these are going to be the values from React hoop form. So really, it's only message that we need, because we'll get the user ID automatically from the token, the JWT we have. If there's an error, we'll just do console.error. I think with React hook we could send an error back to React hook form, and then that would give us an error. We could set an error on the message, and then we could display that below. But for now, let's just assume the happy path. We don't need to handle errors. You should handle errors. Yeah, so what do we do? We need to make a mutation. And we are going to return. Let's have a look at how we did our register page. Did we create the mutation in here? No, we did it here. We did it in the API route. So insert users 1. We'll just steal this code because we can. We can steal our own code. And then we'll do insert post. Mutation name is going to be post. And then all this is going to be is message, right? We only need to insert a message. And this is, I'm going to guess this is just the same. Insert post 1. Object will be message. And also the thread ID. Thread ID. Let's do. Did we do this before? I can't remember. Ask. Insert thread. Okay. Thread ID is UUID. Well, no, it's not. It is thread ID. I don't know what I'm typing anymore. Oh, that's really going to pester me now. I like to do this first, UUID, and then we'll make, we'll add this at the end, at the beginning. I typed something wrong, did I? I don't know, it looks good to me. Ah, that's why. Okay, so what did we do here? What did we do? So we destructured insert threads 1, so we'll destructure insert posts 1, and we'll await a request to, we've already got Hasura, and we'll do request, and we'll do insert post as our mutation, and then the variables will be thread ID, which will be ID, because we've got it up here, and then we got message, which is message. So hopefully this makes sense why I've put this function here, because we haven't got to kind of prop drill everything and send down the ID, send down anything else we need. This is just going to send that behavior back up, and we can do some nice things. One of them being a mutation on use SWR. So SWR, you can broadcast a revalidation method globally with the same key. So if we send in the same key, we can tell SWR to mutate the data, and I think we can just destructure mutate from here. So we don't. Do we need to send? Yeah, okay. So we'll destructure mutate here, and then we'll call mutate, and then that object now is going to have, I don't know if I'm going to do this right. We have to spread in the current thread, which we've got as threads by PK. Oh, this is getting confusing already. So we'll spread in data dot threads by PK. Then we'll send in data dot threads dot posts, and then we'll pass in insert posts 1. I don't know if we're doing the right thing here, but we'll find out. We'll learn and we'll find out together. In here, handle post. That handle post is going down. I think we're good. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything more we need to do. So we're getting ID of the thread by the query, not by data dot whatever dot ID. I don't know if that is. I guess it doesn't matter. The ID is never going to change, and if it does, then we're going to be on a different thread page. So it's less code to type, really, isn't it? So let's go back to the browser and now go here. And we'll just say hello and reply. Nope, it's not working. We'll see why. Field thread ID not found in type. Ah, okay. Insert posts. Insert post. There's going to be message. Created at author and name. That's what we need to return from that mutation. And then it's not going to be thread ID. It's going to be thread underscore ID. That's the column name, right? So now let's refresh. And right here. Boom. We have an error. Data, threads, whatever. Let's refresh. See if it's actually sent. It's sent. So it's probably just a case of when we were inserting the new post. What's going on? Yeah. Let's have a look. So we're going to mutate. We're going to spread in the current thread because we're mutating this. I don't think we have to send in the ID again because, or do we? I really don't know. Nope. So we're doing this. Key is not required when using mutate as it's pre-bound. So if we use a mutate there, it's already pre-bound, so we don't need to pass in anything else for the key. Oh, okay. So we don't need to do like that because it's already pre-bound. So that key, we're just updating the value that belongs at that key. To me, that key changes. I don't know. It's not there anyway. It's this one. That's the key. We're going to mutate data. We're going to spread in data.threads. Is it threads by primary key? Yes, it is. We're going to get all posts. And when we insert post, we're going to get the new post back. Let's just check this. Well, this mutation works. We got the data, right? It's not what it's complaining about. That works. It's just when we're mutating, it's not sending that back in. It's like that doesn't exist. It may be because of this. I'm not sure. Yes, this makes sense. Okay, I think I get it now. I think I understand what's going on. This is going to have to go inside of threads. No. Threads by PK. And then we'll spread in data.thread by PK and then posts. And then for good measure, we'll spread in data. So can I open this window as well, side by side? So okay, this is what I think is going on. Threads by primary key, that's returned in the data response. So we just need to, that's like in the object that's returned, that's the key that has all of the fields in the object. So we need to kind of mimic that. Before, I was making the assumption that we were just updating threads by primary key, which is not the case. That makes more sense. I hope that's right. So we'll just do hello world reply. Boom! Look what we got. Look what we got going on. We've got a form, and when we reply, it's automatically updating. I can go back to the home, come to another thread, and type in whatever we want, and it posts for us automatically. So I'm just going to open up a new browser window, and I'm going to register a new account, and we'll just call this Sophie at, I don't know, just give her an email. We'll register, then we'll come to this, we'll go to the same topic, hello world, and then we'll go here, hi, reply. I'm going to click on this window, not do anything else but focus back on this window. And there we go. Sophie's message popped up immediately, which is great. This page will obviously keep up to date. It'll keep polling for changes with use SWR. That's all built in. Obviously, how often you poll can be configured, but all that we did there was change the focus on Windows, and that's basically fire another GraphQL request to Hasura. Then it's just come back and kind of rehydrating the page with that new data. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's looking pretty sharp. We come to home, and you'll see that. I don't know if you've seen that, but this updated very quickly. So that is SWR in action as well. It's kind of updating the index. So we've already got that statically generated page. And then it's going ahead and updating the page for us. So eventually when we do come to kind of hard refresh the page, it would have rebuilt anyway statically. That happens in no time at all. So if I just come back in here and go testing and reply, this hello SWR, when I focus on this window, that'll say Sophie, and it'll move to the top as well. There we go. So Sophie replied. This is looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with where we are at with this. Testing. We'll click reply. There we go. Boom. Straight away. No messing around. This is awesome. Then we come back in here. Then testing is at the top. Sweet. Right. That is it for today. That is... I think that is it for today. Is there any other quick wins we can do? Let's have a... Why don't we have a look at GitHub and see what we need to do next? Issues. Create individual thread page. Yeah, we got those, Jamie. We got those. Well, we've got a fake avatar. We've not got me. We've got a little picture, SVG. Could be me. Yeah, this is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Let's commit this, and we'll just say this is the thread page with post form, and we will push this to GitHub, and we'll make a pull request for that. And the body will be, it closes issue number 9. Issue number 9. Come back to pull requests. And then their feature is thread page with post form. How long have we been streaming? 50 minutes. 50 minutes. And we've created this. I'm pretty pleased with that. 50 minutes and we're able to reply to threads. I know I kind of went really fast in the beginning. And then kind of slowed down towards the end. That is that's how it goes. That's how it goes. We got there. Got there in the end. A few little things in the end we need to kind of fix up, but no, it's pretty good. We've got a link in our layout now, which is good. We can navigate around pages without typing URLs. Then we've got our post, which displays the created at relative to today, the message, the author name. Then we've got the form for replying, and then we've got the post form component as well. And we just made a couple of little styling changes because we are amazing at design. We'll come back and revisit all of the design later. We updated the pattern on the register page, not the login. I don't think it matters because we're just building this thing now. But if you were implementing this in the future, how annoying would it be if someone put this pattern on the login and for some reason they never enforced this pattern to begin with? You're gonna have a pretty, a problem. No one's gonna be able to reset their. No one's gonna be able to log in. And imagine if they had to click forget password and they were trying to put a format in that you never enforced, or they create an account before it was enforced. I've had that happen. We ain't being that guy. Yep, thread ID. Get thread IDs is fine. We just need the ID. We'll probably change this to a slug at some point because it's a bit nicer than looking at a UUID in the browser for each thread. But yeah, it's pretty good. Hopefully this is clear enough to follow along. This stuff was a bit weird. This stuff caught me out. But I think we've updated the data for it. So it's already got the key pre-bound. So we're literally updating the value, which I think is fine. It didn't complain. There was no warning, so I'm assuming this is right. And when we navigate between the pages, things was looking fine. And then we're just displaying that post list. There is one thing that I've not forgotten because I didn't plan on it. But we don't want to enable replies if the thread is locked. That was a feature we added at the beginning. So let's go to data and go to threads. And let's lock one of these threads. So we're going to build the whole moderator tool stuff later in another video, but let's for now just lock a thread. And we'll come back here, and inside of our code editor, we're still running the server, so we're good there. So we'll also bring down locked here, and then this will be data threads by pk dot locked. So if this is not locked, display the form. So we go here, we can reply, we can do what we need to, and then we go home. Then I don't know, I can't remember which thread we locked now. This was the ID. It was hello world. We've got a few of those. Great. Hello world. Nice. So you'll see here is we've got the title, but we've got the post, but we have no form to add a reply, and that's because we have locked the thread. And just to show you how cool SWR is, back in here we go to false, save this in the database, come back here, click that, boom. I've just focused on the page again. It's rehydrated from the database and it's shown the form so we can reply. It's pretty cool. And we can save that, move that back to locked, refocus on that window, the form disappears, and that's because we locked the thread. And we'll add the functionality to lock the thread to the UI at some point for users. But this has been it. This has been episode 9, and we've in 50 minutes we have created a thread page with posts and the form to handle submissions, and then only show post form when unlocked. So we've done a lot in 50 minutes. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and we'll create the pages for categories. So on the index here, you'll see this is a general category. I've posted everything in general. Let's just ask another question quickly. We'll make this in JavaScript. What about TypeScript? Like, is it the TAM script now? I don't know. TAM script? Does that make sense? Sorry, not TAM script. TAM stack. That's what I'm thinking of. TypeScript, APIs, and markup. Cool. So that's working. We can reply. Looks good to me. There we go. Let's go ahead and merge this up. Squash and merge. There we go. All merged into master. So now you will be able to go to jamstackforum.com, create a thread and reply. Please don't abuse it. I'll wipe the database anyway, but we are going to be using, we'll be using the same database for development at the moment until we get the database kind of solid, and then we will kind of create a development branch off that and have a separate Hasura instance for preview and development. But for now, if we head on over to jamstackforum.com and we wait a second for Versailles to deploy, this literally takes seconds. There we go. Less than a minute, it's deployed. Yep, that's fine. So we'll go in here. Is this deployed? I said it was fast. jamstackforum.com. What's going on? Huh, strange. That's the fallback. So we'll need to handle that. Yeah, let's do that tomorrow. We'll handle the fallback for that page. That is obviously, that page doesn't exist because we posted that when it was before it deployed. After. No. Yeah, after it deployed the preview URL. It's obviously just brought that across. We need to handle the fallback. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll create the category page and we'll probably handle that. That's fine. So if I log in, we'll log in with Jamie at GraphCMS. Password is you probably know what my password is. Am I in the wrong place today? jamstackforum.com. Log in. Jamie at graphcms.com. There we go. TypeScript. Nope. Go here though. Can't reply because it's locked. We can reply here though. Can I ask a question? Testing. Hello world. Load that markup. we'll post that. Did I post that? Limit of 60 exceeded. Ah, right. We'll visit this tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, we'll visit that tomorrow, but we've done quite a bit today. We've created the page. The form displays if it's not locked, and if it is not, if the form's not locked, it displays a form to reply, and then when it is, it doesn't display the form. So yeah, thanks for joining today. There's just a last minute question here. Can you use Versailles for free? Yes, they have a free plan and they also have a paid plan. The paid plan gives you a lot more. I think you can write more functions. You can invite your team. You can have an organization. You can do a lot of that stuff. So check out Versailles.com. Gonna guess it's /pricing, and you can find out all of the benefits you get with that. But for Next.js, it's probably the best platform for it. It's made by the same people, so they're going to get the most out of all the CDN and static build stuff for you. It's going to be handled automatically. But yeah, there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed the stream today. If you've got any questions, please reach out to me on Twitter, comment on this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. It'll, allow me to continue to build more of these and just kind of document my journey as I'm kind of exploring something new. So, yeah, happy coding.